This video covers some of the basic questions people have when starting to tune an engine. Think of it as a foundation. Not a set of hard rules carved in stone, but a reliable starting point if you're new to tuning and not sure where to begin. This video builds on some previous concepts we've covered. So particularly the modes of operation video. That's an important video to become familiar with. Other concepts are spark ignition, reciprocating piston 4-cycle, throttle body fuel injectors, and multi-port fuel injected engines. Single point injection, throttle body injection, this uses one injector and a throttle body mounted on an intake manifold. And in multi-point injection, injects fuel into the intake ports upstream of each cylinder's intake valve, rather than at the central point within an intake manifold. So before you even touch tuning, make sure your ignition system is solid. Coils, wires, and spark plugs all need to be in good shape. Bad plugs will ruin your day fast. Wrong heat range or improper gap, it's the same story. As a rule of thumb, go one step colder on spark plugs for every full point of compression increase. So for every half atmosphere boost, about 7.75 psi. And for each one step colder on plugs, close the gap by about 1/3. For example, from 0.045 stock down to 0.030. Next up, timing. Timing here means both the physical relationship between your crank and camshaft and any mechanical adjustments like a distributor or CAS. Get this right before moving on. And let's clear up a common mistake. The ECU can't fix a broken engine. Bent valves, bad pistons, dead coils, faulty injectors, wrong timing, none of that is solvable in the tune. Mechanical problems must be fixed mechanically. Now, if your engine is running in closed loop mode, fueling is controlled by the O2 sensor. Do not fight the O2 sensor. Instead, use it as a guide. Ideally, you want the ECU to make as few corrections as possible based on the O2 sensor feedback. And speaking of O2 sensors, don't tune wide open throttle with a narrow band sensor. They just aren't accurate enough for that. Also, O2 sensors aren't perfect. Big cams or misfires can trick them into reading lean because extra oxygen shows up in the exhaust. If your ECU is in closed loop when this happens, it might dump in fuel that you don't really need. If that's happening, turn off closed loop and monitor with a wideband instead. For volumetric efficiency systems like GM's TBI or TPI, make sure your VE values make sense. If you need something ridiculous like 180% VE at idle just to hit stoik, that's a problem. Most hot naturally aspirated engines will peak around 85 to 95% VE in a narrow, wide open throttle range. Older stuff might struggle to hit 80%, while modern engines can get close to 100%. Remember, VE drops at low throttle because of pumping losses at the throttle body. For Fords that use load, make sure your injector size is realistic. That way your math transfer function and load calculations line up with reality. When you look at your tune in a graph, it should make sense visually. Not perfect, not laser straight, but with clear logical trends. If you see random noise or weird reversals, it could point to mechanical issues like fuel pumps maxing out, misfires, or reversion. And finally, for measuring power, your butt dyno is wrong. Always use something repeatable. A dyno, an accelerometer, or even a quarter-mile pass. One last tip, don't rely just on numbers. Use all of your senses, especially sound, when tuning.